Welcome to Get Up, Stand Up. I'm the host sitting in for Minister Malik Shabazz for the first hour. I'm Michael Imhotep of the African History Network and the African History Network Show. We want to welcome everybody to TV 33 WHPR. Get Up, Stand Up. We have a fantastic show planned for you today. In our first hour, as I sit in, I'm going to talk about the screening of Hidden Colors 2 I'm doing this Saturday, May 4th. 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Nanid's Knowledge Cafe, located at 12511 Woodward Avenue in Highland Park, Michigan. We're going to deal with some of the topics dealt with in this documentary, Hidden Colors 2, The Triumph of Melanin. I'm doing a screening and discussion, so even if you've seen the documentary before, the discussion portion you definitely want to come to. It's going to totally blow you away. We'll also do a recap and talk a little bit about some of the subject matter we talked about last Tuesday when I was on. I talked about Jackie Robinson breaking into Major League Baseball, and we dealt with Jackie Robinson integration and the destruction of the Negro Leagues. Well, Friday I was on WCHB dealing with that same subject matter, and Friday afternoon I got home, and Friday evening actually, I got home and I'm watching TV, and on Bounce TV they showed the Bingo Long All-Stars starring Billy D. Williams, James Earl Jones, and Richard Pryor. And what is it about? Nothing more than the Negro Leagues. Okay, so very, very interesting movie. If you haven't seen that, watch that. We'll talk a little bit about that in this segment, as well as Black Wall Street. A lot of people may have heard a little bit about Black Wall Street, but don't know that much about Little Africa, or this 35 square block radius of about 600 African-American owned businesses in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we'll talk a little bit about that also this segment, and some other things as well. The call-in number for today is 313-868-4336. You probably see it at the bottom of your screen also. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments, give us a call. All right. If you have to call a few times, the line's busy, call back. We'll try to get you through. All right. So we definitely want to welcome everybody today. In the second and third hour, Minister Malik Shabazz will be joining us. So I'm just sitting in for him. So the show has not been hijacked. All right. So we hope everyone's doing well today. Also, we want to talk about the effort that's going on right now, launched by Dr. Boyce Watkins and hip-hop mogul Russell Simmons, to end the war on drugs. I don't know if you've heard about this. I would encourage you to go to yourblackworld.net. Yourblackworld.net. That's a news website that's 100% African-American owned and operated. It's ran by Dr. Boyce Watkins, who is a finance professor at Syracuse University. And he has enlisted about 175 celebrities, civil rights activists, scholars, and athletes. And they have signed a letter to urge President Obama to end the failed war on drugs. Now, if you've seen Hidden Colors 2, if you've listened to my show at all, if you've read The New Jim Crow, you know that the war on drugs was declared in 1982 by Ronald Reagan. It was declared before the crack epidemic hit. Yes, crack was on the street, but it had not reached epidemic levels. It was declared before the crack epidemic hit, and they used public media, they used media specialists, things like this, to flood the airwaves with stories talking about crack-addicted babies, crack prostitutes, crack ravaging the community, to justify the war on drugs that they had already declared. Okay, and what's happened is that the war on drugs has been nothing more than a war on basically poor African-American and poor Hispanic people. And then when we look at during Bill Clinton's administration, about 1992 up until about 2000, we see with the Omnibus Crime Bill of around 1995, which is a continuation of the war on drugs, which instituted 3 strikes and you're out, truth in sentencing laws, mandatory minimums. We see that during that period of time, more African Americans went to prison during any 8-year period of time in history. Okay, so it's been a total failure, but there's a very interesting article you should check out at yourblackworld.net. It's called After Coalition Asks for Change, Obama Administration to Announce Major Shift in Drug Policy. After Coalition Asks for Change, Obama Administration to Announce Major Shift in Drug Policy. And what this article talks about is how in the next few weeks, you should hear a big announcement coming from the White House about a major shift in drug policy, more money into prevention, putting more money into rehab, and quote unquote ending the war on drugs. So we need to stay tuned for that. But you can sign up for the petition as well. Go to yourblackworld.net. There's also a video there of Dr. Boyce Watkins explaining what this is all about as well. So something very, very important. And he's teamed up with celebrities, some that he's even criticized. Even people like Lil Wayne have signed this. Reverend Jesse Jackson, Brad Pitt, Jennifer Hudson, the presidents of Morehouse and Spelman, Michelle Alexander, who wrote The New Jim Crow, LL Cool J, Chris Rock. These are just a few of the celebrities and civil rights leaders who have signed this petition as well. But you can sign it also. So visit yourblackworld.net for that. Okay, now once again, the call-in number is area code 313-868-4336. 313-868-4336. So if you have any questions or comments, give us a call. Also on yourblackworld.net, there's a very interesting article, and I will deal with this Saturday. I'll talk a little bit about this Saturday at the screening and discussion of Hidden Colors 2. But Saturday, May 11th, at Nandy's Knowledge Cafe, once again, where knowledge is power, I'll be doing a double lecture with Professor Booker T. Coleman. You've seen him in Hidden Colors 1. You've seen him in Hidden Colors 2. You've heard him numerous times on my show, the African History Network show. And he'll be here Saturday, May 11th, doing a double lecture with me, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Nandy's Knowledge Cafe. I'll talk about this. And also, he'll be with Minister Malik Shabazz Friday, May 10th, at True Oracles Ministry, located at 1500 East State Fair. So Professor Coleman will be there doing a lecture, and he'll be with me the following day, Saturday, May 11th. For more information on that, please visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com for ticket information, or give us a call at 313-462-0003, 313-462-0003. But in this article here, it deals with a lot of information I've done research on previously, and it pulls a lot of it all together in one place. And I deal with a lot of this also in my lecture, The Media's Deliberate Destruction of the African-American Family Reloaded, okay, which is an overview of a 13-hour lecture series that I've done. But the name of this article is called Author Shows Compelling Connection. Companies that promote violent music also own private prisons. Once again, author shows, AUTHOR, author shows compelling connection. Companies that promote violent music also own private prisons. Now, one of the things that they deal with is how in 1983, you had about 50 corporations or media companies that controlled 90% of what you read, saw, and hear. So what you saw on TV, what you saw on cable TV. Back in 1983, we didn't have an internet, okay? We didn't have email, so we didn't have to worry about that. For the kids watching, there was no Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or YouTube in 1983, okay? 90% of what you read in the newspapers and magazines, things like this, were controlled by 50 media companies. Today, well, when they look at 2011, I should say, because this is 2 years later. But in 2011, you have 6 media companies, multinational conglomerates that control 90% of what you read, see, and hear. What's playing at the theater, what's on cable, what's on TV, the music that is being produced that you hear, that you download from iTunes. Things like this, the music that's streaming on iHeartRadio, which is owned by Clear Channel. You have 6 media companies, okay, that control this. And what happens is you have various entities like Vanguard Group who has interests, major interests, not just in media companies, but also privatized prisons. So I'm going to deal with some of this Saturday, May 4th, and I'll also deal with this definitely Saturday, May 11th. At Nandy's Knowledge Cafe, located at 12511 Woodward Avenue. I'll be there doing a double lecture with Professor Booker T. Coleman. If you go to our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, we have the flyer there, all the information. And there's a video coming soon to promote that as well. But Professor Coleman is going to deal with the African connection, Africa, Mexico, and the Mississippi Valley. So he's going to deal with the ancient African presence in Mexico, which goes back thousands and thousands of years, long before Spaniards start taking Africans into Africa from 1501 to 1700, when they take about 5 million Africans and take them into South America, take them into Mexico, take them into, in 1526, into the territory known as South Carolina. Going back 51,700 years ago, there were African people in the territory known as South Carolina. So he's going to do this. He'll also deal with the pyramid mounds, or the pyramids that were up and down the Mississippi River, going back thousands of years. And there's still pyramid mounds in the U.S. today. The largest one is called Monk's Mound, and it's in Illinois. Professor Coleman went there, and when he got back, he called me because he did research there, and he did a lecture in that area also. So he called me to tell me about it. So he's going to deal with this and a whole lot more. This is Saturday, May 11th, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Nandy's Knowledge Cafe. Professor Coleman will deal with the African connection, Africa, Mexico, and the Mississippi Valley. A lot of other information he'll deal with also. And then I will deal with the media's deliberate destruction of the African-American family reloaded. If you've seen any of my 13-hour series that's done in 3 parts, this has all been totally revised. I have a lot of new information. About 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago now, I was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, doing an overview of this, and the people in Harrisburg were totally blown away by it. I didn't even get a chance to finish it. But some of what I deal with are the origins of a lot of the stereotypical images that we see in the media today, going back to 1828 when a white entertainer named T.D. Rice creates the Jim Crow character. Then we deal with the evolution of the Sambo and the Mammies and the Coons, things like this. We see how it manifests itself in different movies and TV shows throughout history. Then we also deal with statistics that are put out that are designed to cause hysteria in the community and that are totally false. Like 70% of African-American women are single, 50% of African-American males drop out of high school, all types of nonsense like this. We break down those statistics and show how they are false, and they're used to create hysteria in the community, to cause chaos, things of this nature. I also deal with a lot of African history. We'll deal with the early African presence in the Americas. I deal with also just recently, actually March 7th, it was in the news. LiveScience.com talked about this, as well as YahooNews.com and other outlets. They talked about how there's a man in South Carolina who recently died. His name was Albert Perry, African-American man. When he died, his family took a sample of his DNA and gave it to one of these companies that traces your ancestry, and they tell you which high culture or so-called tribe in Africa you come from, things like this. Well, they found that his DNA traced back to an ancestor going back 338,000 years old. Okay, now this totally broke the mold, because all the other DNA modes go back 60,000 to 120,000 years, and the physical evidence based upon skeletons that archaeologists and anthropologists have only go back 195,000 years. So this totally baffled them. They then took this sample and they took it to a university, and they did multiple tests and concluded that 338,000 years was correct. Okay, so this coincides with what scholars like Runoko Rashidi, who's been on this show, and Minister Malik Shabazz has brought him to Detroit before. This coincides with what Dr. Charles Finch and other scholars, other African scholars, have told us, that Homo sapiens sapiens are not 100,000 or 200,000 years old, but 338,000 years old. So before we can deal with the lies that have been told and perpetuated and shown to us through the television, we have to deal with who we were and what we had before the lie was created. Once the knowledge of the past and the truth has been eradicated, then the seeds of the lie can be planted and flourish. But if people know who they are, the lie can't prosper and be told and be perpetuated. Okay, so these are just some of the things I'm going to deal with in the presentation. So Saturday, May 11th, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Professor Booker T. Coleman, also known as Kaba Kamene, Kaba Kamene, and myself. He's one of my teachers also, so if you listen to my show, you know this. We're doing a double lecture at Nandy's Knowledge Cafe, located at 12511 Woodward Avenue in Highland Park, Michigan, 4 blocks south of the Davidson Freeway between Glendale and Highland Street. For ticket information, visit theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, or give us a call at 313-462-0003. And this Saturday, May 4th, for the screening and discussion of Hidden Colors 2 at Nandy's, once again, which is a free event, by the way. Okay, this is a free event, the screening and discussion. We are accepting donations. I'll have tickets available there for the lecture the following Saturday.